how to get rid of trauma. Just like we did the 3-scene technique, I'm quickly going to repeat it so you see the difference. So in the 3-scene technique, the present is in front of us, the future is to the left, and then we move what we program here, the process, and the current situation as is, we swipe them right. So we forget about this one. The current situation as it was becomes the past, and the new situation becomes scene number 3. So 2 becomes 3. This is how we program situations in the future. Now, knowing that the past is to the right, you can do a similar thing to change the past. This is a controversial topic. What are you actually changing? Are you actually changing the past? Are you actually changing your association, your neural pathways? I can tell you that it doesn't matter. Does it matter if you've actually changed it? It's in the past. It's important that your association to the fact has been changed. So what you do is we go in alpha and we ask a question. When is the first time or the last time I experienced this or that event that caused the trauma? If you know the exact event, you call it in front of you. So you swipe with your hand from the right, which is the past, and you move it in front of you. You start working in the present with it. And you start changing the elements. You can change certain elements, or you can wipe outright the entire screen and just completely change it with a different screen. Just as an example, let's say you were offended by somebody and you recall this, and it's a very painful experience that led you to certain blockages, to low self-esteem and stuff like that. So you bring the picture in front of you. You can either completely wipe it so that the picture never happened, but then you have to replace it with something else. So you recreate a picture that could have happened instead, a situation that could have happened instead. So you either went to a different place, or the person didn't react and went out, or you never saw them, you met somebody else instead. You know, follow your intuition to see what the best solution would be, what would have best happened instead. And don't look for it too deeply, it just comes out naturally. And the first solution that comes up, and you project it, and you recreate this picture, and you feel the feelings of how it actually felt, how easy it was, and so on. Once you correct the picture, you swipe it right, and it automatically goes back to the place in the past where it belongs. Now, it is possible that one topic or one trauma has a few origins. So there's always a first origin, but there are a few repetitive situations that happened at different points in time. For example, something happened when you were 7. Your mom yelled at you if you have an issue with authority or something like that. Let's say when you were 7, your mom yelled at you. Then when you were 12, there was a terrible situation when your teacher at school belittled you in some way. Then there was another situation that you remember when you were 15, and so on until the most recent situation. So what you do is you take them, all of the pictures, one by one. You can either start backwards or forwards in time. Backwards is like from the current situation back, so with the most recent experience, or forwards, that's with the earliest experience. So let's say you start with the earliest experience. You bring it in front of you, you change it to the situation that you would have liked to happen, and you push it a bit in front. You call in the next one when you were 12. You change it, wipe, and here use your hands. You know, if you have to wipe out, take a sponge, you can take a hose and water it. You know, use your imagination to cleanse either the entire picture or maybe open the door for somebody to enter. Whatever you find appropriate in terms of movement. If it doesn't require movement, fine, just imagine it. And the corrected scene, you stack in front of the other one. So we have here picture number 1 that we've pushed the corrected picture from when you were 7 in this example. Picture number 2, we wipe it, we correct it, we stack it in front of the 7. So we have 7, then 12. It's all in front of us. Then we call in 15. We change whatever we need to change with this situation. We project the final scene of this situation and we stack it in front. So we have the furthest away in front of us is 7, next is 12, next is 15. And as we do all of them, we stack them like cards. When we feel that we are done with the process, we take our hand and swipe them all right. And they fall in the right place, in the right timeline where they belong. So we swipe them all right. And that's the end of the process. Then we come out of alpha with the normal process. Now, here it's important that you follow your feelings. So if you're only capable at the moment to correct 2-3 pictures of this series, correct as many pictures as your intuition leads you to, because you can go back in another session and check again. You can recall again the situation and see, do you see the same things? Do you feel the same things? And you will notice the difference. So you will either not be able to call this picture in front of you, or it will be unbelievable to you. So I have used this technique, and based on feedback from other people that I've worked with, I personally have experienced that at some point if you've done this 2-3 times over time, not like one day after the other, but you give yourself some space to check, do you still feel this way? At some point, you don't believe that this thing actually happened. You start disassociating your memory even from the past. That you're going to lose is the pain. So the association of the emotion. This is the first thing that you're getting rid of. And slowly, because the images are linked to emotions, the images will start fading away. So you'll start not remembering so well this situation when the emotion fades. Now, an interesting thing is that sometimes we may not know, or we may completely not remember when something happened. We have no memory. We know that something happened. We know there's a result. If there's a result, something happened in the past. So if there's a blockage, if you feel there's a trauma, something happened, right? Some people experience fear of intimacy, and they have a very vague idea that they may have been molested as children, but they don't remember, because usually the mind of a child deletes such experiences, even if it's a minor experience that somebody, made a comment or something like that. And this can have tremendous results to the psychology of a child. And so what you do then is, when you go in alpha, you use the clock, or you set up some sort of a time management system. You either use a calendar or a clock to find out the exact time when this thing happened. This technique is called a mental clock. It's actually a part of these mental techniques, but it can also be used in this situation. I'm briefly explaining how to discover when exactly something happened back in time, when you have no recollection of something. And it's the following. You ask the question, for example, how long ago did it happen? And then you imagine that there's a clock on your palm, and you start turning it with your physical finger. You start turning the arrow of the clock, and you say each turn of the small arrow represents 1 year, or it represents 1 month, or whatever period of time you encode it to be. Or you take a calendar and you start seeing a number of the year, and with each flip, so you flip a calendar and you see how it changes from 2023, 2022, until you go back to the right time, and you'll naturally stop counting. It will start slowing down. And if you're deep enough in alpha, you will exactly know, okay, something happened then. And then you look for the information. what happened in 1990, for example. How old were you then? And you start connecting the information of this year with your experiences, and then you will discover something. Yeah, more information will come from this. And even if at the beginning the memory is vague, the information that you receive on a subconscious level is so complete and holistic that you would know. It's only if by your own choice to reject the information, but you would know whatever has happened.